Hello, Oracles. So, what can we expect from the stock market this week? So, this week we have really mostly earnings that are going on. There's not a lot going on when it comes to federal data that's going to get released. We do have some federal members of the banks coming out and speaking, but all in all, most of the information we're going to get from the stock market and most of the moves one way or the other are going to come from earnings. And now, earnings themselves could give us some indications as to the health of the economy itself. So as I go through the list of these, I'll kind of point out what indications we might see from each one of the companies to give us an idea as to what we might see for the health of the economy as well. So there's not a ton that are going on. The really big earnings, especially when it comes to tech, are going on the following week. Last week, we had the majority of the banks that came out, and those banks' earnings came out, and they seemed to show us a relatively healthy economy. So again, we did see this back in 2007. We did have the Fed telling us the same things back in 2007. So it's one of those, I'm hoping for the best. I am truly hoping that we do get this soft landing, and I'm hoping we're in a healthy economy. But due to what we had seen in the past, I'm also making sure I take a step back and I'm not just going to go full bullish right into all of this. So still a lot of data indicators that I want to pay attention to before I make any major decisions one way or the other. And I may or may not ever make any major decisions one way or the other and just simply follow my plan that I have going forward, because following my plan is very simple and it has been very successful so far. And now I truly haven't been following my plan during a major downturn, so I haven't seen what it can do to mitigate downside risk. But based upon all the stocks and ETFs that I own and their performance during the downtimes, especially during 2022, or some of the older ones that I have that go back to 2007 and 2008, show me that I should do a pretty good job mitigating all of that downside risk if we do get there. But we'll get into all the earnings that are going on this week and see what they have to tell us about the economy right now. Before we get into that, please hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone for sharing these videos as well. I love getting this information out to you. And thanks for the chats that we've been having. And man, that live stream last Friday was pretty awesome as well. So thank you guys all so much for that. All right, so typically Mondays and Fridays don't have a ton of earnings that are going on. So there's really not a lot. We do have some Fed members coming out and speaking on Monday, but not a lot of like at least big name earnings. There's a handful of earnings that are coming out Monday, but nothing major. So the majority of them start on Tuesday. And so Tuesday, we've got GE, we've got Philip Morris, we've got Verizon, and those three companies themselves are kind of like, I would say on the downside. And I know Philip Morris is one of the companies that a lot of dividend investors invest in because they do have a nice dividend payout. But they're one of those companies where it's like a dying industry. And they're really just kind of like, they don't have the same flourish that they had in the past. And Verizon is, man, so heavily debt burdened that I'm not so certain about them. You know, they, again, are a dividend favorite by a lot of people that are out there, but I'm personally not going to invest in them. If I was in them 10 years ago, I may hold on to them now. But to me, it's one of those companies that there's so much debt that's involved there. For them to make a turnaround is going to be very difficult. Then we also have Texas Instruments. We've got Lockheed Martin. And of course, with all the tensions in the Middle East, Lockheed Martin should post some pretty good earnings going on there. We've got GM that's coming out as well. And of course, you guys know I'm a Tesla fan. And one of the things between Tesla and the legacy automotive makers are Tesla's direct to consumer. So if Tesla's facing some financial struggles or struggling to get deliveries out, as we had seen, we see that immediately. When it comes to legacy automotive makers, they sell all the vehicles to the dealers first. So their numbers are going to look great up front because the dealers are front loading all of those deliveries and sales. Then when it comes on the back end and it comes down to, well, are those dealerships actually selling those vehicles? That's when you start to see it. And there's usually a delay, and it's probably about 6 months. So we're in that time frame now that we could see some challenges coming from these legacy automotive makers. We will see that when it comes on Tuesday from GM. Then we also have 3M, who has been facing a litany of issues over the last several years. So they've been struggling to climb out of the hole as well. We've got ENPH, which is a favorite amongst a bunch of huge growth investors that are out there. They have faced the same struggles that sort of Tesla faced over the last couple of years with interest rates going up, a lot of people not being able to afford solar. So their sales and revenues have come down. But now that interest rates are starting to come down, does this mean that ENPH can start turning it around as well? And then wrapping it up, we've got ADC, that's Agree Realty, and that is one of the huge favorite REITs amongst a lot of dividend investors out there. I don't own that. The three REITs that I have, I've got Vici Properties, I've got Prologis, and I have Realty Income. Those are some of my favorites. I may switch over to ADC. I do like Agree Realty as well. And if I do switch, I'd probably end up switching from probably Realty Income over to ADC. But at this point right now, I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. There's a lot of good plays that are out there. So for me to make a switch from one good one to another good one really doesn't make a lot of sense right now. So then on Wednesday, we've got the biggest ones that are coming out as far as I am concerned, and probably what the market is going to be looking at as well. So we've got Coca-Cola coming out, which, typical Warren Buffett style, shouldn't be any super flare as long as we are seeing some normal growth coming out of Coca-Cola. That means that all is good. I do own Coca-Cola in my portfolio. For the dividends, it's one of those slower growing dividend stocks. I did post it the other day in my top 5 dividend growth stocks. That one was on my list at number 4. So I do like that one. I'll be paying attention to those earnings. We've got T-Mobile as well. This is one we always look back and we're like, oh man, which stock did I wish I purchased in the past? T-Mobile is one of them for me. And I would much rather have a situation where I'm saying, hey, I missed out on this one rather than, oh, I bought this loser here and now I've lost money. I would much rather miss out on making big money than losing money. So for me, T-Mobile, when they partnered up with Starlink and SpaceX, and we're going to be distributing a whole lot of different products out there with these two, right now at the end of this year, they're supposed to be kind of getting that all situated. Really wish I invested in them. They're a dividend paying stock. They've had amazing growth over the last couple of years. So for me, I missed out on them. So that's it. But again, it'll be interesting to see what their earnings look like and see how they go growing forward. Because out of the biggest cell phone companies out there, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, T-Mobile is the one that is doing very well. Verizon and AT&T have been beat down. T-Mobile seems to be the one that is doing quite well and thriving on this. So, good for them. And again, I missed out, but we'll see what the earnings look like on Wednesday. Then Wednesday, we also have T-Mobile and then AT&T, which again, AT&T is one of those ones that has been struggling, kind of trying to reinvent themselves. And then Boeing, who's had a lot of issues recently with a lot of different planes and having troubles and a lot of different legal issues that are going on with them. So big issues going on with Boeing. So not sure if it's a buying opportunity or just something to pay attention to, but their earnings come out Wednesday as well. Then you got NextEra Energy. That is one of those energy companies that is a huge favorite of dividend investors. And you've got Annaly Capital, which is a BDC that is also a favorite amongst dividend investors. And then the big one on Wednesday is going to be Tesla, of course. So Tesla, I will be doing a recap video for Tesla on Wednesday after the earnings call. So I'll share with you guys there. And again, the expectations for what we have coming out of Tesla, I'll share those on Tuesday. I'm going to start doing Tuesday. I think I'm going to do Tesla Tuesdays and go over the information for the week on Tesla. Because again, despite the fact that I switched my investing over to mostly dividends, I still have Tesla very long term. So I'm still a huge fan of Tesla. So I'll start doing Tesla Tuesdays to kind of give you guys updated info on Tesla, some of their insured vehicle numbers coming out of China and a bunch of other stuff. But when it comes to their earnings on Wednesday, it's going to give us an indication as to what Tesla is going to be looking forward to. At this point here, we already know that Tesla's taken the beating from the higher interest rates over the last couple of years. What can we see going forward? Has Tesla hit the bottom when it comes to their margins? Are we going to start pulling up from here? Are they showing us signals and signs of better growth, especially coming out of China, where they have basically slowed down production because they didn't have the demand that required that kind of production? So we have seen those growth numbers coming out of the insured vehicles. So are we going to be able to see those numbers continuing going forward? So that's going to be a big one on Wednesday. And of course, I think that's the biggest one for the entire market for the week. Then on Thursday, we've got UPS. And UPS is always a huge indicator of the health of the economy, because UPS and FedEx, if UPS and FedEx are showing their numbers are doing well, that usually tells us that the economy is doing well. But if their numbers and revenues are showing us that they're not doing well, that means that people aren't sending as many packages, or there's companies and corporations that are choosing to go with, lower freight costs and spending more time. Maybe they're not going with that first class overnight stuff. They're maybe saying 2-day stuff. They're not taking the premium services. They're going with more basic services. And that shows us that there's not the money out there to be spending on that. And that sense of urgency to get this stuff going forward isn't there. And that's where a lot of what it comes down to is that sense of urgency. Because when these companies are like, we need all that stuff right now because competition, all of our competition is moving forward extremely fast. We need to keep up with that. We need to ship this stuff extremely fast. If that's not there, that tells us that the economy is not growing extremely fast. So these are some of the numbers we can be getting out of UPS. And those are some of those indicators that we can see that are kind of like, are we in a recession already? And we just don't know it. So we will see those numbers coming out on Thursday morning. Then we have Honeywell that's coming out. We also have a couple of airlines. We've got American Airlines and Southwest coming out on Thursday. Another indicator of the health of the economy, because if people are spending more money to fly, whether it's for business travel or whether it's going to be for just entertainment travel or for fun travel and leisure, then that's going to tell us that the consumer has enough money to spend to go out and do those things. corporations have enough money to send these people to go meet in person face to face rather than doing Zoom meetings or rather than doing Teams meetings, because meeting in person is always better than doing something online and doing a video chat. But if the money isn't there to do that, they'll settle for doing video chats. If people don't have the money to spend on leisure travel, they're not going to. So again, that'll give us another indication as to the health of the economy between these two airlines. And then we also have Dow Chemical that's coming out on Thursday. And again, from a production standpoint, that's going to give us an indication of, all right, well, where is the industrial side of things? Where is the infrastructure spending going? Are we seeing that infrastructure spending going on? And are we getting that money coming out of Dow? So we will see that coming out on Thursday. And then another favorite coming out on Thursday for dividend investors is the S&P Global. This is one that I have contemplated getting in myself. They have seen just massive growth and dividend growth over the years, and I might end up buying into this one at some point. As I consolidate some of my other stocks, I may shift with it in there. It's on my buy list. And it's one of those ones where, obviously I wish I bought in earlier, sort of like a T-Mobile, but this one here is one of those ones I think is just going to continue growing forward. So I should be okay with it if I buy it at any time, but just one of those ones on my watch list. So overall, this is kind of what we're going to be seeing from the market this week. And again, it's not a lot of those big tech plays that are out there, not those huge companies. We don't have the Apples, Microsofts, Nvidias, any of those coming out this week. Most of those are going to be coming out the following week. But when it comes to the actual health of the economy, when it comes to consumers, we can get a lot of good indicators coming out this week based upon a lot of these companies' earnings. And again, these earnings are from last quarter, so it's going to tell us what we see from last quarter. What was the health of the economy last quarter? And then we pay attention to their guidance going forward as to what they foresee in the future when it comes to the health of the economy and their companies. So we just need to pay attention to these things. Again, I'll kind of give you guys some reviews as the week go on. Again, Tuesday night, I'm going to be giving you guys kind of a preview as to what we could expect from Tesla's earnings. On Wednesday, I will do a recap of Tesla's earnings when it comes to their earnings report and their earnings call. And then this week, I'm going to be doing a live stream on Thursday. I do have plans on Friday evening, so I will not be around for that. So the live stream this week will be on Thursday, and I may keep it on Thursdays going forward. I'll keep you guys posted on that. We'll see how it goes and see if you guys are able to attend on Thursday evening. But this week, it will definitely be on Thursday. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Have a great one.